It's card number 147 from the 1953 Bowman color set. It's Clem Koshorik of those Pittsburgh Pirates. And I see Don is in the chat, so it's only appropriate. Here is that card again. And this is an interesting card because at first glance, if you're not really paying attention like I was, you sort of think, oh, a catcher card, except no, that's not a catcher card because that's definitely not a catcher's glove. And he's not really squatting. He's sort of leaning forward on one knee the way a first baseman might, or the way a shortstop or a third baseman might if they're trying to get ahead of the runner. And I also like that he's kind of giving a thumbs up. He's not really giving a thumbs up, but I've decided that Clem is giving a thumbs up. So all in all, this is a great infielder card. Clem didn't have that much of a career, but he's on a 1953 Bowman color card, so life could be worse. Clem, well, I say that, but then you read the back of his card. Clem is one of the smallest men in the majors. That's what it says. Clem is one of the smallest men in the majors. Now, if I were Clem and I saw this, I'd be like, screw you, Bowman. What the hell? Really? He appeared in 98 games for the Pirates in 1952, playing at second, third, and short. He had 84 hits for a total of 101 bases. The Pirates drafted him from Toledo at the 1951 meetings. And yet again, here it comes again. Because of his size, he was advised against playing pro ball, but has exceptional determination and hustle. He was signed in 1946 after an Army discharge. So Bowman picking on poor Clem, but at least the front of the card is awesome. If it's card number 147 of our friend Clem, it must be session number 147 of Card Room Live, as plenty of people are saying it's a hangout and it's not a show. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Carlisle, for taking care of that. Whether we have guests or not, and we don't have guests tonight unless I put the link in the chat and somebody jumps in. No matter what, most of the time we are wasting time looking at and talking about crusty old cardboard and sometimes pristine old cardboard, but it tends to be old. And through it all, we try to make it time well wasted. And dare I say, we've done just that for over 4 years. Actually, we started on April 20th of 2021, which doesn't seem like that long ago, but in YouTube years, that feels like an eternity ago. So if you're here with us live, welcome. Welcome to all of my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to all the commenters, to the folks from all over social media land. This is the live stream where everybody knows your name. If we don't know your name, we soon will. Introduce yourself. You are amongst cardboard friends. However, you might be listening to this later. You're from the future. We're not there yet, but you're there. And you might be doing one or more of the following: going to work, coming home from work, sorting cards, looking at eBay or an auction site. I say that because I find myself looking at eBay less and less, which is kind of depressing. But that's another story. Rolling out meatballs, walking the dog, sitting on the john, putting the kids to bed. Maybe you're battling raccoons in the backyard. Maybe you're wondering, like my good buddy Doug DK Cardboard. Shout out to Doug. I hope you're doing well out there. Maybe you're wondering if maybe you're just hanging on to baseball cards as a distraction to what would otherwise be an existential crisis about the human condition. I think there's a lot of truth in what Doug said when he said that. You might be wondering if Eddie Wakis will come up in conversation. It sounds like he already has, because Mike's saying Eddie Wakis has left the building. That couldn't be further from the truth. You might be wondering what other kind of Mike foolery we'll get into tonight. Whatever you're doing, I hope you get something out of the next hour. If you want to get in touch or have ideas for future sessions, or you want to nominate yourself or another collector to join a future Cardroom Live session, you can always email me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram, Bowman53_Alex, on X1953 Bowman Color, Blue Sky, Bowman53, and of course, all that information can be found in the description below. And I just wanted to mention that I'm so happy that people have actually started doing that. I had a couple people reach out to me recently, and they had ideas for guests, whether it was that they wanted to be on Card Room Live or that they had an idea for an episode or what have you. So I'm always glad and happy when that happens, because I need new ideas, guys. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by our friends at Reindeer Studios. This is a Reindeer Studios shirt, and you can go to reindeerstudios.com, or you can look them up on Etsy to find your hobby-related gear and custom cards that you just will not find anywhere else. T-shirts that your wife and regular life friends won't understand, but T-shirts that all of your hobby pals will be envious of. Reindeer has great customer service, and if you don't believe me, you could ask a question about Reindeer Studios right now in the chat, and you'd probably get an answer from the owner himself or from one of his many satisfied customers in this chat. Excluding Don, I wouldn't really put any faith in what Don says. If Ray Stance is the heart of Ghostbusters, Reindeer Studios must be the heart of the hobby. Check out the Reindeer Studios store today, or the Reindeer Studios Etsy store. And no, contrary to popular belief, I do not get a paycheck for saying any of that. Good evening to everybody. Happy end of October. Happy World Series baseball. I'm kind of looking at that once in a while, not really actively following it, but I know it's happening. For me, baseball is covered under a sheet of ice and snow until spring. But I know other people are having a good time, and that's great. Happy Halloween, which is upon us. And I hope everybody's doing well out there. Let's see who's at the bar. Whether you drink or not, hey, order some alcohol or order a milkshake or whatever is your fancy. As I said before, Mike, the sports history collector, is here with his wrench. Carlisle is here. Jacob is here. Mike Polina is here. Happy Sunday to you, Mike. The dog ate my card collector. I always feel bad for that card collector, but I'm glad the dog is here. Good evening, and it's great to be here just hanging out with such a fine crowd. You are too generous, sir. Melissa is here. There's the wrench holder Don from Don's Field of Dreams cards, and there is his sidekick in curmudgeonly behavior, Reindeer Studios himself. John is on board for wasting time, which is great. Good to see 3D 80s kid. Peter B is here. Hello, Peter. Larry is here. Good to see you, Larry. Peacemaker cards. Peacemaker cards is here. Jay Hawker Vintage Cards is here. Good evening to you. Parat. Okay, I'll try that next time. Pastor Craig's Vintage Cards is here. Pastor Craig was a visitor to our last session last Sunday and had some great stories. And Pastor Craig, I'm waiting, man. I'm waiting for the next round of uploads of your stories that you have for your cards. You've been doing a bang-up job of that, and so I'm looking forward to your next YouTube uploads. Stephen with a PH is here. What's up, Stephen? Mookie Chilson is here. We can actually start. Clem is short for Clemente. Correction, not Clemente. So his name is not Clemente Clem Kashorik. Thank you for the clarification, Mookie. Small in stature, but big in heart and skills. Yeah, I actually felt like I was reading the description of the film Rudy when I was reading Clem's card. Does that card come in a mini? Nice. Orlando's here, a collector's dream. Recendy Card Ranger, another guest from our live stream last Sunday night. And there is the other one, Let's See Sports Cards. What's up? Good to see you. That's right. He was tall enough to serve his country, and all, all in all, I think that's what matters most. That vintage cardboard smell is here. Adam's card closet is here. 4 years in hell for Don and Reindeer, and for the rest of us. John P. collects cards is here. What's up, John? John, I have tried too many times to get a hold of you. If you're trying to kind of blow me off, it's totally working. But in the off chance that you're not trying to, email me, man, or somebody that has John's information, share my information with John, because I've been trying to get a hold of you for a while. And now that you're in here, there's no hiding. Chris from Missouri is here. Killaboo 3, Kurt is here. The Everyday Card Collector, Jason, is here. Let's get into it. Yeah, it was you. Raise your hand if you're wearing a reindeer shit right now. Well, Mookie, keep that between you and him, okay? Ross Loves Cards is here. Ross, good to see you, man. Eddie's Cardboard Chaos. Eddie, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I feel for you. Although I will say that I don't think that this will alleviate the pain. But when the Mariners do win it someday, and they will, it'll make it all the sweeter that you've been through all of this, all this pain. I'm sure it'll happen someday. Let's go Jays. Fair enough. Dan is here, recovering. I'm glad you prefaced anything else you say with this, Dan, so we know that this might be the cause of anything else you say. The Big Six is here. What's up, Jerry? You wonder if Alex will sing Happy Birthday to Orlando tonight. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Orlando. Happy birthday to you. Now, you guys did not anticipate me doing the William Shatner, but I honored their request, and happy birthday, Orlando. That's right. Drinks on the house. Orlando's paying. Mark Hoyle's Impossible Dream is here. What's up? Thank you. Don, your baseball season ended like decades ago, my friend. Matt the Card Story is here. That's being generous, Mike. That's being really generous. I wouldn't call that a rap. I'd call that the Shatner. What's going on, everybody? I got through that in 15 minutes. We got 45 minutes left. No guests planned for tonight. If anybody is itching to hop in the live stream and has a rant or a gripe or some cards that they want to share, I'm happy to put the link in the chat. I've got 2 good live stream sessions planned. The next 2, the first 2 weekends of November, with brand new guests that have not been on the live stream before, and they're pretty unique guests with pretty unique hobby related, baseball related stuff to share. I'm excited about those. But tonight is a good old fashioned random session. You're welcome, my friend. The birthday boy needs to jump on if he wants to. Maybe the birthday boy, doesn't want to have to deal with all you guys on screen. So what I was thinking is that's going on. I've been working on that video that I've been talking about for what seems like forever. I'm nearly finished. You might, if I can move over here, you can see there's a big, not really a mess, but there's a collection of stuff here. There's also a whole pile of slabs up here, and even some non-slab, genuine, original baseball cards untouched here. I've been using all this stuff I've been shooting today. I would say I'm like 98% done. I still have a few more things I need to do for that video. But the good news is this week I have a little bit more free time than I normally do. So my aim is to finish that video this week and post it and say goodbye to it and share it with all of you guys. So I'm excited about that because it's been a long time coming. I really thought this video would not take as long as it has. And it hasn't been this long because of working on it necessarily. Sometimes a lot of it's just not being able to sit down and focus on it. So hopefully that will happen this week. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys was, you guys might remember, I think it was last week actually, that I opened up a care package from our friend Nina. Shout out to Nina S. And Nina sent these two wonderful Bowman Phillies cards of Dal Ennis and Willie Puddinhead Jones. And she also sent a card along with it, which I still have sitting right here. And boy, it's really blown out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this tonight. Really? Oh, there we go. I just have to get rid of me, and then you can read it. So I got this card from Nina. It's like, oh, I got to put this in my binder. And then I got my binder out, and then I thought, oh my gosh, like I haven't looked at this binder. Like I've opened it up, but I haven't really like stopped and looked at it in quite a long time. And I thought this would be kind of interesting to talk about, because I think a lot of collectors and YouTubers especially have a binder like this. If you're relatively new to YouTube, you may not have done this yet, but I'm sure that you soon will, which is to have a binder filled with stuff that you've gotten from fellow collectors over the years. This is going to be kind of unruly because it is a really heavy binder. Not because it's full of YouTuber gifts or anything. Well, actually, no. That's what it's full of. It's full of cards. Here, this just happens to be sitting on the front. So let's get into it, right? The like 95% of this is filled with cards that were given to me. Well, that's not true. I think I bought like maybe a handful of these cards I bought when I was a kid, but the majority of the stuff in here are cards that were gifted to me from other folks, mostly from people on YouTube. So I'm going to share this with you guys. Well, first of all, I should share with you guys the binder itself, because of course I got this binder, right? That's cool, right? I got this a number of years ago. And it does have some Bowman color in here, but it's not really a Bowman color binder. It's my YouTube binder. So here is the famous black and white extension set that a lot of YouTubers know about from Dave, Blue Jacket 66. So he sent me a copy of this set as soon as I learned about it from his channel years ago. I definitely reached out to him, and he generously sent me a copy of this set. I'm not going to go through every page because this binder's kind of crazy, but then I have a bunch of these game cards, that were sent to me from our buddy Stove. Here's Cepeda. I have a ton of these, and this was a joke for those of you that have been around a long time. You might remember a made-up game called U-Ball, where Mark would play an old game, and you would have to guess what the result of the at-bat was. And my go-to choice at all times was a ground out. And that was my nickname for a while, not just Bowman 53. It was ground out 53. And I tended to win more often than not by guessing ground out. I miss U-Ball. And then I have some childhood memory cards. This card always makes me laugh. This is the actual card from my childhood. My brother and I were helping my dad replace the refrigerator in our kitchen one year. I don't remember how old I was, 8 or 9 years old. And as we moved the old refrigerator to make room for the new one, we discovered this Rick Matula card underneath the refrigerator. And you can see this card looks like it was living underneath the refrigerator for quite a long time. This is the actual card. This is not a reproduction of the family refrigerator card. This is the original. And for years after, my brother and I would try to pass the fandom of Rick Matula to the other one. Like I would tell everybody that my brother was the biggest Rick Matula fan. And then he would do the same. It's like, no. Like you love, like Rick Matula is in your all-time top 3 best baseball players of all time. And we still have that joke going. So I'll always think of Rick Matula as an essential part of my childhood. And then this was the very, not counting Rick Matula, this is the very first baseball card I ever had. You got to love the wood borders, tops. Gary Redus. I loved this card because he was a Philly and because I was gifted this card by like another kid that I was playing baseball with, and I had not gotten into baseball cards yet. And he's like, hey, man, you can have this one. And I was just like floored. This is not the actual card. I lost the original and it was completely destroyed a long time ago. But for anybody else, this is just junk, right? But for me, this is like a piece of, childhood history. Gary Redus. And then I've got I got like an insane number of Phillies cards. And again, none of these, I'll try to hold it like this. Feels like I'm holding an accordion. None of these were a part of my collection. These were all gifted to me by fellow YouTubers who found out that I was a Phillies fan. All of these are cards from YouTubers that have been sent to me over the years. So just look at how much stuff is in here. There's all kinds of good stuff in here. And it just keeps going. It keeps going, which is really incredible. And I didn't ask for anything. These are all just sort of random acts of kindness, right? Incredible stuff. There's some rare stuff in here. I don't know about rare, but uncommon stuff, let's say. Here's a card that was really special to me. A Von Hayes rookie card. Pretty awesome. Goes, and it's kind of in order. I'm kind of looking at like 93 stuff. Then there's a bunch of 2007, 2008. There's even some modern stuff in here, like super modern, like past few years. And it keeps going and keeps going. And then finally, let's get into the YouTuber stuff. Here's my Ranger Studios page. I have to admit, I'm ashamed to say it's not as comprehensive as it should be. I have not been keeping up. Scott can throw some shame at me in the chat. Then I have a whole bunch of YouTuber cards. I'm sure some of you guys know these. Vintage Composer up there at the top. There's Sammy, Rocket Rick, Wesker Griff. Shout out to Zombie Collector from back in the day. There's those back pages at the bottom. Let me take these two out. This one, unless you know the story, it's like, why do you have a Harold Baines card? Well, the first national that I went to, Bob Lewis was in need of a place to crash at the last minute, and I said, sure, no problem. And so we ended up rooming, and I think he just needed like one night. because it was sort of a last minute trip, and then he left pretty early, and this was the card that he left as a thank you for giving him a place to crash. And of course, everybody loves Harold Baines, but this was around the time that Harold Baines had gotten into the Hall of Fame, and it was like on all of our minds, so it was appropriate. And then this is from the legendary Pepino Man. It's so shiny. Look at that. It's a World Series relevant card. And Pepino Man also sent me something. Where is it? Here it is. He sent me this patch, which is Jackie Robinson, 50th anniversary, 1947 to 1997, Breaking Barriers. And this was like one of the very first care packages that I ever got when I first started my channel. So you can imagine being a new channel and getting a care package from Pepino Man's, like you're doing well. You're hitting the big time. And there's just so much stuff in here. Let me put this down and see what's going on in the chat. It is a sexy sticker. What do the backs look like on the Blue Jackets 53 Bowman extension set? They look exactly like the front, Mookie. Like exceptionally well done in terms of matching everything, the font and everything. Okay, ET Card Collector saying, that's so cool. I don't have a binder, but I've only been on YouTube for about 6 months now. Yeah, so exactly. I didn't have a binder either, right? Nobody has a binder of YouTube stuff when you start. And I remember being new and watching other YouTubers that had been around a long time doing what I'm doing, which is pulling up memories from the past. All I can say is if you stick with it and, get to know people, you'll end up with a binder too. Like it's just part of what it means to be in this community. Rick Matula was fixing the wobble. Absolutely. You actually have that Matula card catalog. Well, you might, but it's not a refrigerator one of one. No, I should get it slabbed, but I would want it to have like some kind of a joke on the slab. Maybe I'll make my own slab for it. Did he play minor league ball in Savannah? Wow, I didn't realize that. Maybe I need to make a Rick Matula video, Moog. I was thinking, what's my next video be after I finish this one? Maybe it's going to be about Rick Matula. Who knows? We all know that Rick Matula should have been in the drawer next to the spatula or the spatula. Yeah, absolutely. Man, Mookie, you're just pulling them out left and right, aren't you? No shame, just poop thrown. Okay. He keeps his other reindeer cards under the fridge. Under fridge storage is highly underappreciated. Yeah, because you can imagine where it's just like, cards like toys just get thrown all over the ground when you're a kid. Alex, I need to send you a card signed by the greatest YouTuber. Hopefully Brian will ship me something to pass on to you. Okay, Max. I think I already have something from Brian in here, but thanks for the thought. Here's a why did I pack it this way? Oh, I didn't. I'm not afraid of silence on this live stream. Now I'm getting into the bigger stuff, the non-card stuff. Does anybody remember this? The golden ticket from Blue Jackets contest. This was from, I don't know if it has the date on here. I don't think so. Here's a note from Mr. Ranger Studios. I think this is in relation to that Rollins Utley drawing, which is up there on the wall. Who doesn't love Mossy Claus? Here's another note from Nina S. I've gotten so many wonderful gestures from Nina over the years. So I'm going to put this other note from Nina with this earlier note. What else do I got in here? Here's a note from Don. This is when Don made a stand, and he made a bunch of stands and sent them out into the community. And I think this is this it? Yeah, this was Don's documentation on how, or his documentation on how he made these stands. I see mine in there. I'll go grab mine here in a second. Here's a note from Brent. Near Mint Musings, formerly known as Near Mint Musings, now Star Huddle 77. Yeah, man, YouTube would not nearly be as much fun as it is without the other folks out there. If you're not making videos yet, you should do it. If you are making videos, keep doing your thing. And keep putting yourself out there. Max, here's my original autograph from Brian Roth, so I'm all set. You know, the other thing about this is, like, there's stuff in here from YouTubers that are not making videos anymore. Here's a note from Stove. Keep it goofy, man. We need you to come back and show us how to keep it goofy. Mark, if you're out there. Oh, dude, here's a really, I should get this framed, from Mike himself when I got into the Hall of Fame. That was an important day. So really fun to see all this stuff. I don't often stop, and I'm sure we all don't often stop and take a look at this if we're fortunate to have it, but I'm definitely fortunate to have met all these people over the years, and it's crazy how time flies. But it's nice to hang on to this stuff. Did I drop something? If I did, it might be the Rick Matula card, and I'll find it under the desk. Maybe I should put it under the desk. That's where it belongs. What's going on? You know, Pepino licks his own stamps. I sure hope so. CGC will allow you to add provenance to the back of the slab for an extra fee, right? Yeah, let me go grab it, actually. And this is fun because I don't know. I can't remember if I actually had this card at the time. I think I did. I must have had it. So here is Don's handiwork. Beautiful design. Well made. And of course, the fun part is that he sits right where he's supposed to go. Now that we're looking at this card, here he is. Yes. So again, thank you, Don. It's nice to see it because, you know, the stand, the sticker is usually covered up by the card, but it's cool to see it like this. Not true. If anybody does want to hop in real quick with cards or stories or anything, there is the StreamYard link. Maybe you want to hop in and wish Orlando a happy birthday. You're welcome to. In the meantime, I've got a stack of cards sitting here. Somewhat random grouping. I never show the backs, so tonight I'll show the backs. I was kind of doing an alternate between post-war and pre-war, just kind of going back and forth between the two. I wasn't planning to do this in complete silence, but maybe I'll do the rest of these in complete silence. I'm going to show one more. Because we have a guest that's going to hop in here in a second. Everybody give a warm welcome to Jerry. Jerry, what's up?
Can you see me?
Can see you fine.
All right. I want to say happy birthday to Orlando. And I have a few cards to show of one player. Okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right. So I'm a kid about 8, 9 years old. And my dad worked on the ship channel. And evidently there was a lot of retired baseball players that worked down there at a time or two. And one of them played from 1920 to 1936. And that was, we would go over to his house, and I was just a kid. And we're talking about a guy that was behind the plate with Babe Ruth at the bat, or Lou Gehrig at the bat, or Ty Cobb at the bat. And he was a catcher for the Indians. Here's this 33 Gotti. Can you see it?
Yes, there you go.
Glenn Myatt. And he played from 1920 to 1936. Most of the time he was with the Indians. He came up with athletics, and Connie Mack sent him back down, and he led I forget what league, I think the Southern League, in hitting. And then he ended up with the Indians. And he played from 1922 to about 1933 with the Indians. And then he played 1 year with the Tigers and 1 year with the Giants. Okay, we would go over to his house, and he had a panorama picture of the 26 Indians. You know what the panorama is, a big long picture.
Sure.
I'm all standing there. And it would be Tris Speaker in the middle, who was his manager. And of course, other Hall of Famer, Earl Averill. I forget. During the middle 20s, he would trade off with Luke Sewell. They would catch about the same amount of games. And anyway, in 1924, he hit 324. I think that was a hitter's time. Here's his diamond match book. Here's another different colored diamond match book. I can't remember what year this exhibit is, but Scott could tell me, Stooks could tell me. I think it's 27 or 28, something like that. When I got out of the Navy in the 70s, I went over. He died in '69, which I was in the service, but I went over to visit his wife, and she gave me this big 8x10. You can tell that's a catcher's cap.
Yeah.
For sure. And she gave me this program. This is from the second half of a doubleheader, Washington at Cleveland, August 7th, 1926. Second game of a doubleheader. And it's all scored by her.
Oh, wow.
And the Indians were beat by one of their old teammates, Stanley Kovaleski, the Hall of Famer. And Kovaleski won 9-2. And Glenn got a hit off of him. And we got Speaker in center field, Joe Sewell at shortstop, Luke Sewell catching. Glenn Myatt relieved him in the 5th inning. And I don't even recognize the pitchers. And Walter Johnson is listed as a pitcher for Washington.
Wow.
But that's a Cleveland program from 1922.
Beautiful.
And then, Net 54, guys knew that I had I collected Glenn Myatt stuff. So some guy sent me this photo of him. And, it was used, I guess, in newspapers or something. Anyway, I remember I don't remember if it's last week or week before, you talked about show cards that mean something to you or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd jump on and show those and just show something. Is Orlando on the chat?
He's still here. Yep.
Just showing this one more time.
Oh, boy.
I know he loves his King Kelly, and I love mine.
That's gorgeous.
That's all I have for you.
All right. Thanks, Jerry.
You're welcome.
All right. Amazing stuff. We're going to get Jerry back on at some point in the future to do a deeper dive into pre-war. Absolutely great stuff. Anybody else dare to follow Jerry? Here's the link to jump in. Sing happy birthday to Orlando. Show some cards. I'm going to keep going down my list. Anybody that's listening to this later, you're sorely disappointed. Do you think you think the session ended early because it's just completely dead silent? I'm just showing cards. Blank back for this one. Stunning red hearts. The big league of dog food. Stanley Frank, usual. Another Stan the Man. He's sitting here. Why not show him? Beautiful card. And can't not show this one. And finally, Clem gets his due. I got some raw cards up here. Showed these two already from Nina. Here's one from our friend Scott, Reindeer Studios. I think, well, then there's this one. Just kind of been through some things. I think then the rest of these are part of the cards that were the first vintage cards that I ever got. I've told this story many times. The short version, when I was a teenager and was no longer playing baseball, nor was I collecting cards, my dad went to a flea market one Saturday morning, and when he came back, he handed me a stack of cards. These are not all the cards, but there are a handful of them. And he just grabbed them on a whim. I'm sure they weren't terribly expensive, and he just thought they were cool. And he snagged a bunch of them and handed them to me. And I was kind of like, yeah, okay, thanks, Dad. But I didn't really think much about them and just put them away and kind of forgot about them. But these ones stood out to me because I thought these were just bizarre. I was like, where's the player's name? Where's the team logo? Where's the position that he plays? I just thought these were strange. I wasn't even sure they were really baseball cards at first. I thought they were just photographs until I saw the back. Put them in a box, forgot about them for more than a decade. I guess a couple decades, and then here we are, all these years later. And I talked to my dad about that. He's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. And I showed him, like, yeah, well, I built the set now. You never know when this stuff will resurface and come back into your life. Absolutely. I think people sometimes forget, so I have to do stuff like this to remind them. Yeah, it's just a hangout, guys. It's not a show. I knew you'd like that, Stephen. Appreciate it. Alex, you're showing half of my top 10 cards that that you want. Your birthday's Wednesday. Hey guys, everybody, make a note. Jay Hawker Vintage Cards. Mike's birthday is Wednesday. So Mike, if you haven't already made a top 10 video, you should make one. If you already have made one, maybe you should like repost it and also remind everybody that your birthday is on Wednesday. Good luck with that. Was it under the fridge? No. This Pee-wee was not. This was not among the ones that my dad found and bought for me that day. I got this one more recently. I don't know where it was, but I was on a kick where I was collecting this card a number of times in different states of condition. I held on to this one. I sold most of the other ones. One of the few times I actually sold any of my cards. Yeah, right. Let me just double check. I should probably check all these. I never checked actually my dad's cards to see if any of them are filled out. Can you believe that, Mookie? How could I have not checked? Wouldn't that be amazing? Let me just quickly fill it out and pretend. Oh my gosh. I've got a few others. A few other cards from that legendary stack that my dad got for me that day. Really just a couple more Bowman, 53 Bowman cards. Not filled out, unfortunately. Bob Porterfield from the Washington Senators. Not filled out. And then this is a manager card. Managers don't have stats. Jimmy Dykes from the Philadelphia A's. They do have stats of some kind, lifetime stats. But this is actually from his career because obviously, Jimmy Dykes, for pre-war collectors, know that Jimmy Dykes was a player as well. These are lifetime stats from his playing days. Anyway, and then just a couple other 54 Bowmans and 53 Tops. Do I have any Duke Snider cards? Welcome, Jimmy. I have a ton of Duke Snider cards. I don't have any nearby, but we've got some time. Not all my Duke Sniders, but here are a few. 51 Tops. Red back. I love this card. I feel like this set is criminally ignored. And it really shouldn't be. It's a fun set. 52 Tops. And maybe my favorite, just because there's so many stories built into this that I've talked about, and I made a video about this years ago, 1950 Bowman, Duke Snider. There's just a lot of stuff going on in this card if you take the time to look at it. It feels like a panel from a comic book. Here's the back. Edwin Duke Snider. Mookie loves it when collectors add stats to cards. He got me to start doing it. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't agree with either of those statements. New York, from a collecting perspective, New York ends for me after 1957. I know that it exists in the real world, but for me as a collector, it's like it doesn't factor in. That might change someday. Jimmy says I was fortunate enough to meet Snider at a card show when I was a kid. That's awesome. Jimmy, if you are at all interested in connecting, send me an email, bowman53channel@gmail.com. Would love to hear more and chat about that and your collecting, if you're still collecting these days. New York, yeah. I mean, hey, I lived in New York, and I'm very fond of it. I just never got into the more recent eras. Probably because I'm a Phillies fan, and when I think of modern baseball, I think about being frustrated with the Mets and the Yankees. That's probably why. But I'm fond of those earlier times when I was like less, you know, like the Phillies got swept in the 50 World Series by the Yankees, but it's like that's okay. Like I don't hold that personal grudge. I do, however, still have a sore spot from 2009 Yankees Phillies. All right, guys, we're just about out of time. It was fun having a true session about nothing. So if you enjoyed this live stream about nothing, give it a thumbs up. It makes a difference. If you didn't enjoy it, I'm not sure why you're still here, but hey, maybe you'll come back next time too. Next Sunday, we'll definitely have a pretty cool guest, actually a couple of guests. So it should be a good time. Stay tuned for 4 Collectors at 9. And until next Sunday night, guys, have a great week. Take care of yourselves out there in Hobbyland, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Happy birthday, Orlando.